Mid-engined hero, Nürburgring winner, the last of a dying breed of V10s. This is the review of the Audi R8 LMS Evo II on iRacing, and for Season 1's build of the 24 season ahead of us, we need to get into the advantages for technology, aka Versplingen Dutch Technique, as the Audi people say. Now, if you're new around here, please make sure that you join the channel by subscribing. We do a lot of sim racing content around here. This is your boy AMG Dens, and let's get into the Audi R8 LMS Evo II 2022. With the 2022 GT3 season looking very competitive, Audi came forth and armed their customer racing teams with a very spicy, evolutionized version of their original package. This aimed to improve aerodynamics, increase engine torque, additional air conditioning, a new suspension, and a refined traction control system. Now, before we get into the technical side, let's rewind like Craig David and discuss the current state of Audi's GT3 program, as this is a must.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not.
Don't go anywhere.
In the middle of 2023, Audi landed an absolute bombshell, leaving the whole motorsport world in shock when they announced that they would bring their factory involvement to GT3 racing to an abrupt halt in 2024. Audi received heavy criticism for this, given it put series like DTM and also teams such as Com2, Santalot and Attempter Racing in jeopardy of not having full customer support beyond 2023 and 4. With Audi's withdrawal also meant that there was no clear path of progression for other privateer teams to run in such series like the World Endurance Championship. Perhaps other privateers, like WRT, anticipated this would be the case, and that could have potentially been their reason for moving away from Audi and pursuing a brighter future with a rival, BMW. Their customer racing program offers the BMW M4 GT3 and also the V8 LMDH offering, which are both eligible for the World Endurance Championship. If that wasn't worse enough, sadly for Audi, that also meant that they would lose 14 works drivers that would be left without a seat and have to leave the manufacturer. This includes star names such as Christopher Mies, Christopher Hasser, Frederick Vivisch, Matteo Drudi, Patrick Niederhaus, Dennis Marshall, Ricardo Feller, and more. It's such a travesty. In response to the backlash, Audi have confirmed that there still will be support for customer teams in 2024. However, they've reneged their presumption by going back and saying there will be no future factory support entries for races. Audi also will no longer sell the GT2, GT3 or GT4 spec R8s, as they're no longer going to be in production from March 2024, in line with the road car ceasing production and the start of their F1 program. So essentially, the GT3, Hypercar and Formula E program will become sacrificial lamb to the F1 campaign that may not even fully take off in 2026. So guys, that makes me ask you the question: do you find it interesting that iRacing pursued Audi for a license for a car that has an uncertain future in real life? Is it questionable that they decided to add this car to the game when other players have been asking for other cars, such as the McLaren 720S, the new Mustang GT3, the Aston Martin Vantage V8, for quite a while? Let me know what you guys think. And in the meantime, let's have an actual new look at the car. Let's have a deep dive into some of the technical analysis, and let's see what's new for the Audi Evo II. So here we are, guys. Here's our Audi R8 LMS Evo II here at Hockenheim, sitting in the garage nicely. Where do we start? Let's go with the first Evo kit for the Audi R8. So start off in 2015. Car always had quite a strong design, especially on the underbody, which gave the car good aerodynamic efficiency. Basically meant that Audi could run a very small wing compared to the opposition, which also, if you do that, of course, means less drag and a more competitive speed. The emphasis on the Audi R8 really comes from the underbody in terms of the diffuser, where it generates most of its downforce. And designers often see this as an efficient way of creating downforce, but the only issue is that if you have a car that relies solely on the underbody to generate downforce from the floor and the diffuser, what happens is that when you go to tracks such as the Nürburgring, where you have really bumpy, uneven track surfaces from corner to corner, you have what basically becomes inconsistent ride height. So therefore, the ride height of the car changes throughout the lap, and as a result you get a car that's quite unbalanced. Sometimes it can unsettle drivers and, you know, can cause sudden snaps of rear oversteer, which the Audi is quite renowned for. So with this Evo II kit, Audi essentially decided to work with their customers a bit more and generate a package that would help, you know, pursue more stable forms of downforce for additional drivability instead of chasing peak downforce in the wind tunnel. Another thing, which unfortunately we won't benefit in the sim world, but is a real thing for the Audi Evo R8, happens to be the air conditioning system. The car was actually fitted with a new air conditioning system. It involved basically putting in a new condenser to accommodate the AC system. As a result of that, it's actually quite a big job, and you'd be surprised that they actually have to strip out the engine and the chassis just to basically fit the new pipes that go throughout the car and through the engine bay and the chassis to the aircon box installed inside the cockpit. Another interesting thing specifically about the aircon is that it has the ability to be run on full power, half power, and also it could rely using the braking system to power it instead of the engine, which means of course when you run at circuits like Bathurst and you run the straights, rather than relying on the engine which would zap the power on the straights, you can rely on the battery system instead, which is pretty cool. Also, as revised features for the car in 2022, we got an upgraded and updated steering wheel with a new hub as well. I'm going to put an insert inside there because funnily enough, the quick release looks something like the Fanatec Podium or Fanatec Quick Release 2 QR system that we have now. It's quite funny. But anyway, yeah, our new steering wheel, essentially with this, you're able to control the two-stage traction control, which is pretty cool. The first traction control, so the lateral one on the left, that basically controls when the traction control will kick in. The TC long, which is the second stage of the traction control, determines how long the traction control system will stay on for. Also new for this car is a new button box to the right hand side, new center console. So you've got more buttons. The two at the bottom control the air conditioning. The next two are for multi parameters with the car. The next two up from that are to do with the pedals, if you want to move the pedal box forwards and backwards, which is pretty cool as well. And then you've got your ignition up here too, so quite cool features. Also, what's new for this car is a new damper for the splitters. It's really interesting. I'd never really seen something as innovative as this. But essentially with the new damper splitters, it's a spring that sits behind the front splitter housing, and essentially it absorbs some of the shock when you drive over curbs. So by absorbing the energy, it allows drivers to actually attack the curbs, which is good, and also removes the element of risk in terms of destroying this dive plate here on the front, or the splitter, or the chassis in fact, by absorbing some of that energy. So it's pretty cool as well. I'm going to put an insert also of how that works. Pretty cool. On the bunda of the car, you'll be amazed to see that you've got a slightly revised diffuser. The lower drag diffuser blades underneath the car are smaller. As a result of that, basically it produces less drag and less downforce. Right, so coming to this lovely V10 engine, naturally aspirated. The car has a new engine inlet manifold. How this basically works, guys, is that there's a spacer which makes the air inlet a bit taller. With that, there's a pipe that runs through, so the car is able to produce more torque. I'm assuming that this is probably Audi's response to other manufacturers such as BMW, who have turbocharged engines and they're able to generate torque through that. With a V10, obviously, it's great, you know, in terms of the high speed element and the power, but in terms of the propulsion of the corners, it's not as advantageous as a turbo. So by doing that, that basically aids with the additional torque the car is able to produce. Another really funny feature I learned about this car is it has a new FIA homologated rain light. Before, the rain light was apparently just a brake from the road car light, which is very basic, of course, but nope, this one, they've revised it, and it's basically a FIA homologated rain light. So there's no real kind of performance benefit from it. It's just a standardized part from the FIA, so it's compliant. This one's probably the most notable, guys. It is the completely new monster swan neck rear wing. Very aggressive wing. Basically, the aim with this is to produce less drag. And also, what's kind of interesting with this as well is it's got a bit of a gurney flap. I don't know if you guys can see right towards the rear end of the new rear wing, but it bends up a bit and it's almost as if it's got its own angle to basically help create the same level of downforce but at less of an angle. So again, on the theme of producing less drag, creating the aerodynamics in a more efficient way. Also, in relation to the rear wing, you can kind of see that it's got new mounting points as well. So with this, helps basically create less drag too, which is good. Last bit of the upgrade, guys, I had to actually go in the garage so you can see this, is the new Audi 4-way spring damper. The old damper was a 2-way system, one for the bump adjustment and one for the rebound bump adjustment. This has been revised and now we have a 2 bump adjustment for high speed and low speed. And then we've got 2 more adjustments you could do for low speed and high speed on the rear as well, which is quite interesting. So there we have it, guys. In summary, this is the refinement package, which has already made a very competitive car, an even stronger one in the field, and a winner, of course, of the GT World Sprint Championship for 2023. But I want to hand it over to you guys. What do you think the future will hold for Audi? Do you think they should have pulled out of the GT3 scene? Would you also consider if Audi's F1 program doesn't kick off a flop, if they sacrifice GT3 and LMDH for it? And also, what car would you like to see next in iRacing in terms of the GT3 scene? Quite a few people saying McLaren, Mustangs, Aston Martin. Throw them all in the chat and let me know. But until next time, it's been your boy AMG Dens. I'm going to leave you with my fastest lap around here at Hockenheim. And I hope that you guys enjoy this content. Make sure you subscribe, slap that like button like Will Smith, and I'll catch you on track soon. Take it easy, guys. Peace.